Hi, my name is Kelsey Albritton.
And my name is Keely Albritton.
And our service project for natural resources recreation was the Gaskins Birdhouse and Educational Pamphlet.
So to give you a little bit of background about the Gaskins Forest Education Center, in case you're just not very familiar with it or you haven't been there before, it is located on nearly 5,000 acres of land, almost 30 minutes away in Alapaha, Georgia. It features both planted and natural pines and a variety of hardwood species as well. A 1.3-mile nature trail runs through both natural communities and managed forest stands. This privately owned facility promotes conservation and environmental education and serves as a learning center for homeschool groups, teachers, school groups, the general public, and outdoor enthusiasts as well. The property has been managed by our stakeholder, Ms. Heather Brazel, since 2009, who created the Ed Center in 2011.
The stakeholder's goal. Upon meeting with Ms. Brazel and touring the property, it was determined that the main goal for this project was to create a new, educational, and self-guided outdoor activity/experience for guests who visit the Education Center by promoting environmental education, awareness, and stewardship.
So for this project, we had 3 main objectives in mind. Our first objective was to build long-lasting birdhouses from rough-cut cypress lumber to supplement the nesting habitat for native birds in the area and to also attract them for viewing. Our second objective was to install and number new and existing birdhouses along the nature trail and near the main area at the Ed Center, depending upon the habitat requirements or preferences for each targeted species. Our final objective was to create an educational scavenger hunt pamphlet that visitors of different ages and backgrounds could use at a Day in the Woods event scheduled for April 20th and beyond.
To the left is a list of some materials and supplies required throughout our project. This included a 1-inch thick rough-cut cypress boards, pictured below, wood glue, screws of various lengths, finishing nails, small hinges, as well as larger hinges, pine shavings, spray paint, and number stencils, which we already had on hand. To the right is a list of some tools and equipment we used throughout the construction process and throughout installation. This included handsaw, a skill saw, miter saw, jigsaw, cordless multi-tool, cordless drill, cordless driver, drill and driver bits, hole saw bits, butterfly or spade drill bits, rasp files, tape measure, hammer, screwdriver, pliers, framing squares, C-clamps, a chalk line reel, carpenter's pencil, sawhorses, and of course a ladder.
So to give you a little bit more information about the birdhouses themselves, each one differs by birdhouse type, whether they're nesting boxes, nesting shelves, or nesting gourds, living space size, entry hole diameter and shape, height from the ground, orientation, spacing, and habitat placement. We obtained design plans which were approved by our stakeholder from online sources and referred to All About Birds and All About Birdhouses by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and the Sibley Field Guide to Birds of Eastern North America for recommendations on placement. Some important features we wanted to be sure to include in our nest boxes were cutting the bottom corners of the floor platforms to allow for better drainage inside of the nesting box. We made making ventilation holes and or gaps to the tops of the sides of the birdhouses to allow for better airflow. We scoring the front interior walls to make it easier for the young to climb out. Sides that extended past the bottoms of the floors to allow for better rain runoff. And hinged openings from the tops to the sides to allow for better maintenance and monitoring if needed. Now I'll walk you through the birdhouse making process.
The first step included measuring and marking. This first picture is of Keely measuring using a tape measure and a carpenter's pencil as well as a framing square. She's measuring one of our longer boards or larger boards for a larger nest box. As you can see, she's referring to our birdhouse plans at the bottom of the picture. And then on the right side is of me using a chalk line so that I can mark the full length of the board to be cut later on.
Making the cut. So in the picture on the far left, I'm using a skill saw to cut multiple sections of the board that I've marked. In the second picture, Kelsey's using a miter saw to cut a board that we have already marked also. In the third picture, I'm just using a plain old handsaw to cut the corners of the floor of the platforms to allow for better drainage inside of the next box as previously discussed. And in the fourth picture, I'm using a jigsaw to cut out the entry hole that I previously marked in one of our larger nest boxes.
Finishing touches. The very first picture to the left is of me using a multi-tool to score the inside wall of the nest box before we put the nest box together. The second picture is of Keely using a cordless drill and a butterfly bit to drill ventilation holes in the top sides of one of our larger nest boxes for more airflow. The third picture is of me screwing small hinges into one of our smaller nest boxes to allow the roof to open and close. And then the last picture is of me using a pair of pliers to bend a finishing nail for the birdhouse to open and close and to also keep the sides shut.
The next process is installing and numbering the birdhouses.
The very first picture is of me and Jose, the groundskeeper, using a ladder and a cordless drill to install the great crested flycatcher nest box on a more open area on the property. The second picture is of Keely using spray paint and a number stencil to mark our northern flicker nest box. As you can see, this is nest box number 4. And then the third picture is of me using the number stencil again and the spray paint so I can number the purple martin gourds by a pond that's located on the property. The fourth picture is of Keely putting pine shavings in a nest box that was a Southeastern American kestrel nest box that was previously installed by Grace and Jacob. The pine shavings serve as nesting substrate. And the very last picture is of me putting pine shavings into the largest nest box we made. This is the pileated woodpecker nest box. We used pine shavings in some of the larger bird boxes as well as the cavity nesters.
The final process was creating the pamphlet.
We created our pamphlet using canva.com. This is the front and the back of the pamphlet. We included things such as the purpose of this project. We also included a birdhouse locations map. As you can see, the birdhouse locations are marked by the blue points, and they're also numbered, which correlates to the number on the side of each nest box. This shows where they can be found throughout the property and along the nature trail that's bordered in white. You can also find more information about the nest boxes, as well as a QR code that visitors can scan if they want to learn more about the birds in their area or how to make their own birdhouses at home.
So this is the inside of our pamphlet. As you can see, there are illustrations of each of the bird species we hope to target. There is a general description about the size or the shape of each of the nesting boxes. There are clues about the habitat placement and where you could find them along the nature trail. And there's also interesting facts such as interesting behaviors of some of the birds, how they make their nests, and also their diet.
And this is our finished products for the project. The first picture to the left, this is of our nest boxes, and nest shelves. As you can see, there are various sizes. Some are smaller, some are larger. Out by the side of each nest box, you can see the target species, what birds we were trying to target. Each nest box we're targeting. And then to the right, this is our finished pamphlet that we use for Canva.com.
So some future ideas or just ways that this project could be added onto by other students or just added onto in general could be to include metal numbers. Number the birdhouses using metal numbers. We think it would last longer than the spray paint, and unfortunately we didn't think about this until after the project was finished, but we think it would be a nice touch to help them last longer. Another idea that we had was to possibly make or install predator guards to help reduce nest predation. And the third idea was just to include more birdhouses in general. We would like to try and cater to more species if possible and improve the nesting habitat for more birds, and the experience of guests also improve their experience.
and the work accomplished. Overall, we built 8 birdhouses that target around 9 different species. We numbered 11 birdhouses total. This included nesting boxes, nesting shelves, and gourds on the property. Altogether, the birdhouses target around 13 different native species, including waterfowl, wood ducks, birds of prey such as eastern screech owls, southeastern American kestrels, woodpeckers such as pileated woodpeckers, golden flickers, and various songbirds including eastern bluebirds, purple martins, great crested flycatchers, brown-headed nuthatches, Carolina chickadees, American robins, barn swallows, and mourning doves. We also made an educational scavenger hunt pamphlet to go along with the birdhouses to improve the experience of visitors and to teach them about the importance of birdhouses and native birds in the area.
So from this project, we had some key takeaways. This project was a new and rewarding experience for us. It challenged our craftsmanship and our critical thinking skills. It also allowed us to put forth what we have learned in the YOW, such as things that we learned in ornithology. We also gained satisfaction in providing a service that will allow us to expand the Ed Center's impact on both wildlife and humans.
This concludes our project presentation. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, comment, or feedback. Thank you.